Welcome to Unapologetically Sensitive, a place to find connection, a sense of belonging, and community, where you can learn, relate, laugh, and maybe even live a bolder, brighter life. I'm your host, Patricia Young, licensed clinical social worker. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for help from a licensed mental health professional. This is a weekly podcast where we explore how sensitivity weaves itself into our lives. We talk about the richness that it adds, the strengths we have because of our sensitivity, and some of the challenges it poses as well. Sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's our superpower. Hey there. This is bonus episode 31, and it's actually a little bit of a follow-up to episode 12, where I talked about navigating changes in relationships. I really struggled with the audio clip that I released that was from the video that I made after I had a difficult phone call with a friend. And the vulnerability that I've been feeling is just how charged I was and how angry and blaming. I felt kind of exposed. Probably because I was. As I was thinking about what I wanted to release for this next week's episode that's going to be coming out on Tuesday, I was looking through audio clips. Oftentimes when things come up, I'll record clips and I just sort of save them. And I actually found an audio clip that I had recorded after I had recorded this episode. I'm going to play the clip for you. There's a part of me that's having judgment because I feel like it should be a linear story. This happened, I felt this, then this happened. And the reason why I'm choosing to be vulnerable, have you listened to the audio clips of the videos that I made, and to continue to release content that I've recorded is really to demonstrate that relationships are challenging. And we change, our needs change, relationships change, the story changes. The mind really wants to make sense when we're having feelings. When we feel uncomfortable, the mind wants to understand, and so we make up a story in our head. And what I'm demonstrating to you is the story changes. And that's not uncommon. I mean, think about childbirth. If you talk to a woman right when she's having childbirth, she's going to tell you she's never going to do it again because it's the most pain that she's ever had, and it's an awful experience. Once you get that beautiful baby, you forget the pain and you do it again. There's a part of me that's having a little bit of shame because I'm feeling exposed. I'm letting you see how my story continues to change and grow and evolve. I'm doing it intentionally because it's not black and white. Very rarely in life are things black and white. And what my hope is to demonstrate with this podcast is to show how we wrestle with the messy middle when we don't know and we're uncertain and the story changes and we think we want one thing and then we pivot and we try something else and it may not work out the way we want. That life and success is really about being willing to be in the messy middle, to do what's uncomfortable, to not know, and to pivot as we need to. And if we need to change the story, we change the story. What I think the bottom line is, what everybody truly wants, we want to know that our feelings are okay. Most of us grew up in families where our caregivers, our parents, did not have the language of feelings. And if we felt something, we were told to go somewhere else, to change our feelings, to hide. We'd get punished for them. And that's where a lot of our wounding comes from. What I can clearly see as I've listened back over the numerous audios is that I just wanted to know that I was okay, that my feelings were okay, that my perspective was okay, that I was important, that I mattered. I wanted to feel seen. I wanted to feel heard. I wanted to feel valued. When we're having conflict, we don't always get that. And now that all these stories have come out and it's been a number of months, I can really look back at this relationship and know that given the resources that I had at the time, I did the best job that I could. We both did. With the awareness that we had, with the tools that we had, we did the best job that we could. And more was needed than either one of us were able to give. Our needs changed. What went on with each of us changed. And the best thing to be able to do when that happens is to have a lot of self-compassion, a lot of compassion for the other person. I think it's really important that if you're feeling hurt or angry or resentful, disappointed, you've got to have room to have those feelings. I think our society is really about get over your resentments and have gratitude and do affirmations. And there's a place for those things. And I think our attitude and mindset is very important. But I think we often sidestep the uncomfortable, messy work because we don't want to feel it. It's yucky, and people will give us negative messages that we're being depressing or we're ruminating or we're talking about something too much. Oftentimes, these hurts and wounds that we have in current relationships go back to relationships from childhood where those deep wounds are, do I matter? Am I important? Am I being seen? Am I being heard? Am I valued? We need to continue to do the work to heal, but we also need to honor those feelings when they come up and feel them as much as we need to feel them. And what I see with many highly sensitive people is because we didn't get that in childhood, the wounding is that we really dig in deep currently because we want to be seen and heard and know that we matter because we didn't get it earlier on. I have some episodes that I'm going to be releasing coming up that address some of this because I'm seeing where my own resistance comes in and where I really dig in, and it's like, they're my feelings and I'm going to have them. Even if it holds me back and it prevents me from really living a joyful life, it's mine and I'm hanging on to it. So this is something that we'll continue to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for you now that I recorded. I'm not even sure when I recorded it. It's been between now and then. And then I'll hop on at the end just to close it out. All right. Hope you enjoyed this. I've been reflecting on the video that I did about a vulnerable conversation that I had with a friend where we just were really a mismatch. And the thoughts that I've had since then is, initially, I was feeling pretty hurt and angry because I didn't feel heard and seen. My perspective was, here I am showing up, being honest and vulnerable, and you don't appreciate that. You don't appreciate me. You don't appreciate how I show up. You don't appreciate my depth of processing, my honesty. And what I then realized, kind of ears down, tail between my legs, is that I'm not appreciating where this other person is. And I think I share this because when we have wounding, this is kind of where we go, well, what about me? That's the first thing that comes up for us is how we feel wounded, unappreciated, unheard, undervalued. And once I had those feelings, I realized that I don't think that I have a lot of appreciation or compassion for where the other person is coming from. The story that I'm making up in my head is, at one point we had this really warm, loving relationship and we had talked about growing old together. And so from her perspective, this thing happened and I got really angry and I changed and I'm not as empathic as I was. I'm not as apologetic as I was. I mean, this is what I'm making up. I don't know what's going on for her, but this is what I'm imagining, that everything was fine until this thing happened to me and it just changed me. And so from her perspective, she probably does want to go back to where we were and is probably pretty unhappy and upset that she lost a really good friend and wants to get that friend back. And from my perspective, I feel like you want me to get back in the box and I will not get back in that box. I will not. So it's about us having different needs, but I think this area of compassion and self-compassion is really important and we don't talk about it very much. I've been thinking a lot about this friend and the relationship because that's what I do. I think about stuff all the time. And what I had done when it first happened was I was really doing some compassion exercises where you take somebody that you are feeling uncomfortable, angry, resentful with, and you kind of imagine them having a fulfilling, satisfying, happy life. You really wish for them all of the great things that you would want for yourself. And then I kind of forgot about doing it. And so something came up and I had suggested the video that I made to somebody else. And so I was curious and wanted to go back and watch it with a different perspective. And then it reminded me that I really am not doing the compassion work that I need to do. I need to do it for myself, but I also need to do it for this other person because any hurts or resentments that I'm carrying around are going to hurt me. And even though she and I are in very different places, neither one of us is wrong. And for me to develop more compassion for her and for where she's at, it's going to give me peace of mind. It's kind of good karma. It's good juju, but it's going to help me heal. And I have a lot of things, I have a lot of ways that I want to connect with people in the world. And if I have junk and resentment and unhealed parts of me, I just carry that forward to the next relationship. And it's like baggage. I bring that stuff forward to the next relationship. And I got enough baggage as it is that I've been working on. So I really do want to clean things up and heal things. I think it's so easy for us, especially when we're deeply sensitive, that we feel the injustice and we feel how people aren't getting us and we feel misunderstood and hurt. And we show up and other people don't. There are always two sides to a relationship. We get to take responsibility for our part in it and our hurts, but I think it's equally important to be able to imagine what the other person may be going through and to really work on having compassion for them. I hope you found this helpful. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. If you live in California and you're interested in working with me, I do online telehealth. So we meet over a platform that's similar to Skype, but it's private. So you can be in the comfort of your own home. You can do it at work on your lunch hour. You can be in your pajamas. You can do it while the kids are napping. You can reach out to me at Patricia Young, lcsw.com. We have a Facebook group called Unapologetically Sensitive. It's a private community. I really love having people join, and it's also a place where I ask for feedback about how you're liking the show and what it is that you're wanting more or less of. You can find the podcast episodes, and you can find out how to contact me at unapologeticallysensitive.com. Remember, sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's our superpower. Have a blessed day.